First of all, it's the Moeren, then it's Kemmelberg, and then definitely the Plugstreets. These are the three main ingredients that make up Gent-Wevelgem and make it so special. The Moeren is known for it, the echelons. As soon as you move away from Moeren, Adenkerke, and you head inland, going direction to Popperingen and then to Kemmelberg, it's just open. It's one straight line, very open, and the echelons just, when you've got wind coming from the right, it's just spread across the road. And an echelon is always formed to a certain size group depending on how wide the road is. So if you're having riders going from right to left, you probably can fit maybe 10 to 12 riders. So when you're forming in an echelon, the rider sitting on your right with the wind coming from the right, you need to be sitting up here on the hip of the rider's hip. That way you get the full benefit of the protection of the wind. When you're going to ride in echelons with the strong side winds, it's best to be careful of who you're riding with, know them, and be careful. The Plugstreets is another dimension to the race. It's not cobblestones, it's gravel, a mixture of gravel and a hard surface. And I think after battling the winds across the Moeren, and then the Kemmelberg itself, and then coming to the Plugstreets, it just changes up the speed, the tempo, and the pressure that happens in the front of the peloton. It's very important for the positioning for the peloton, so any gaps that start to appear, the teamwork and team tactics start to come into play on the Plugstreets as they head back to the Kemmelberg. So when you're coming into the Plugstreets, some advice is that, once again, a little bit similar to the cobblestones, try to be relaxed, be attentive. I would probably select to ride either right or left in the wheel tracks of where the cars normally would go. That'll be your best surface and less gravel where to ride. Just be a little bit more careful in the corners as well, because there is gravel. There may be a chance that you might get in some loose stuff and your wheel will wash out. So just take your time, enjoy the ride, and just be a little bit careful. So go for it. So in Gent-Wevelgem, you have 3 times the Kemmelberg, 2 times from the east side, which is a longer side, but not quite as steep. And then from 1 time from the west side, which is the last time, where it is steeper and a maximum of 21%. Although it is a little bit shorter, it's more, quite a bit more steep, over 100 meters. So when climbing the cobbles on the Kemmelberg, you can ride wherever you want pretty much. There's no real crown of the cobbles, there's no preferred section. Because it's steep, it's very difficult, so just try to relax. As I mentioned before in the last one, sit back over the seat so that you keep your weight at the back, and try and have a small enough gear with a higher cadence so that you can manage the steeper part of the climb as best as possible. So once you've done 2 or 3 times the Kemmelberg, you then ride from here to Ypres. You go through Ypres under the Menin Gate, and then from there on to Wevelgem. There's no more difficulties as far as climbs, but you will have to contend with the wind somewhat. But pretty much you can leave everything on the road here in Kemmelberg and cruise home through to Wevelgem and enjoy it.